Coming up,
we're still at Sight Village.
You're listening to Double Tap, your daily accessible technology show. Now, here's your hosts, Stephen Scott and Shaun Priest.
Hey guys, welcome along to a special show recorded at Sight Village in Birmingham. Shaun Priest. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Yes, another day at Sight Village, enjoying it.
Yeah, listen, we've got lots of great conversations on the way. We're going to learn about some cool stuff from HumanWare. I think we're going to find out things we're not supposed to know.
I hope so.
Yeah, I'm excited about this. We're also going to learn more about the WeWalk Smart Cane 2. That's coming up as well. But we're going to kick off with a product which I know in Arena, one of our listeners, is very keen to learn more about. And that is the new Kapsys KapX headset. But what is it? What does it feel like? Well, let's get hands-on with Aram, who's the CEO of Kapsys, who's joining us now. Aram, welcome back to Double Tap.
So thank you for inviting me again.
Now listen, I've had a lot of listeners in touch saying, listen, we heard from Aram a while ago. He was telling us all about the KapX headset from Kapsys. What's going on? Well, you've got news.
Yes, we have talked a few months back about the KapX. Now I can show you the final prototype. So Shaun.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh, I've got it. I've actually got it in my hand.
Yes.
Right, hold it up nice so people at home can watch.
Okay, so that feels very much like a bone conduction headset.
Actually,
Is
it's
that fair to say?
air conduction. It's not bone conduction.
No, okay.
But yeah, what you have in the right side is the camera on top of the loudspeaker.
Yes.
Behind, actually, it's the batteries, the two batteries on the left and right side. Okay, these
I
are
feel
the batteries.
them. Yeah.
And in front of this, it's the USB connector with the loudspeaker. Okay.
Yes. Okay.
And on the right side, it's all the electronics, including the camera. Which in front, you have a camera.
Yeah.
And with this camera, we capture the environment and make the analysis through the environment, and then we transmit with the computing box. And here, the computing box I'm giving to you.
Let me feel that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So that's about the size of a battery pack or a smartphone.
Exactly.
So this is the brains of the system?
Exactly. So you have the Bluetooth and Wi-Fi connections in between. So capturing the image, it's sent to the compute unit, processed, and the information given back by through the Bluetooth in audio. So all the operations, computing, decisions are taken in the box, and there is no connection outside, and everything is processed inside. So no cloud computing, no
internet connection needed.
Internet connections or whatever you may think. So it's all on board, and it's fully autonomous.
So a wearable headset. Tell us the purpose of this device. Who's going to be using this? What will they do with it?
The purpose of the device is orientation. So the orientation with safety to avoid the obstacles or dangers in general, and all dangers is taken into account from the ground up to the man's height, whatever the danger it is. So once we detect the danger, and I can tell you more about how, if you're willing to know more about it, we extract the free path where there is no danger for the user, rather than to say, here is the obstacle 1, obstacle B, and knowing that it's okay, but you don't know still where to go. So the idea is just to give the free path to the user using the 3D sound. So if you follow the sound, the 3D sound, you will free of any danger and any obstacle.
So let me get this in my head. So are we thinking, so a cane
Yeah.
My cane that I use every day
Yes.
is essentially locating obstacles all the time. So let's say it's a bin, a trash can that's on the sidewalk on the street,
Yeah.
and I locate it with my cane.
Yes.
A guide dog will take me around
Yeah.
that trash can because it's avoiding the obstacle. It's doing the opposite, right? It's avoiding it. Is this device the guide dog? If we were to compare. I'm not saying it is a guide dog, I'm just saying if you were to compare by that example.
Yeah, you can compare to what the guide dog will bring.
Yeah.
So let's say if you compare this to the radar system, the cane would be a radar for the closest obstacle to you within, say, 2 meters, and the KapX will analyze everything within a square of 10 meters to 10 meters. 10 meters deep, 10 meters wide. So we know the obstacles in advance, and we can deviate and calculate the path to avoid those obstacles in advance without being touched, I would say, with your cane eventually. But yes, at the end of the day, if you have a bin in front of you, we will deviate your path or your direction to avoid the bin and replace you in the middle of the road, or in the middle of the, not the road, the
path. Yeah.
The path.
The path. Basically the sidewalk, that you are free of any danger. But we can do this for any obstacle, which is in the urban environment.
And how quickly can it scan, if you like? How quickly does it refresh?
Yes, it's a very important question. Assuming that a visually impaired will walk about 1 meter per second, we can make 4 decisions per second. It's 250 milliseconds, which makes 25 centimeters. So every 25 centimeters, we have a decision. Or 250 milliseconds on the other in terms of timing. So it's quasi-real time to detect everything happening around you within 250 milliseconds and notify you within 30 milliseconds what to do.
Very nice.
And let me just clarify this again from my own understanding, because I'm a very stupid person, Aram, so I need to ask very silly questions. But if I'm using this device, I am essentially being guided by this 3D sound.
Yes.
So it's taking me around. So I don't know the trash can's there. It's taking me past it.
Yes.
What am I hearing? Am I hearing literally like a beep or a tone that's taking me left to right that I'm hearing? Because we're used to this with apps like Soundscape, for example.
Yes.
We've had this experience before. A lot of us have experienced this. Is it similar to that in terms of its navigation?
It's similar to that, but you can add also, if you want to detect any useful information for you on top of it. So if, for example, you want to cross the street and you are looking for a crossroad, pedestrian crossroad. So while walking, of course, we will avoid any obstacles with the 3D sound, okay? And by the way, I can tell you what the 3D sounds can be understood as a process. You know, the blind people, they play football. How they locate the ball? They locate the ball because there is a bell in the ball, right? While the ball is rolling, they hear the bell. So it's exactly the same process. So rather than to go through, behind the ball, we indicate with the same system the free path. So while you are walking through this sound, you will be free of any danger. Now this is if I can, I may make a parallel. So while walking, you need to have some additional information, which basically we don't give. So on user request, we can, for example, locate the crossroad, the traffic light, the stairs, or a door, or a bench, or whatever you can find in the urban environment, and we will locate or indicate or notify to the person using 3D sounds, or a special 3D sound, which is 3D TTS. So as the same way that you locate the ball, we will locate artificially the source of the sound of the TTS in the direction of the stairs. So while you are walking, you hear on, say, 2 o'clock, for example, there are stairs. If you want to have use the stairs, then you can follow the sound of where it comes of the stairs, or the traffic lights, or crossroads. So you can program, I want it all the time, I want it every meters or every seconds. So we don't want to be too talky. So it's on the user's request to have the information.
That's all the challenge, right?
As quick as they want. But at the end of the day, so if they know where is the crossroad, they will be in front of the crossroad, and then it's to the user decision to cross the road or not. Because we make the decision actually, not a decision, sorry. We know the information of the ground, because we use the semantic segmentation, the camera, so we know the quality of the ground. That's one of the safety feature that we have on top of the just obstacles. We know you are on the sidewalk and not on the street or on the road. We know you are on the grass. You're walking on the grass or paved tail. So the where you are walking matters for the security of the person. So we always direct to the person where the pedestrian has right to walk, and not out of these paths. But in some cases we might have, because if you are on, in a dead end, and the only way is maybe to go on the road, we will indicate to the person, but it's up to the user then to take the decision whether he wants to go or not, by listening with his own ears if there is any danger or not to go. We can say, of course, there is no car, but at the end of the day, the decision will be not guiding, but give him back to the decision to what they want to do.
Of course, yeah, you can't really, that's always your own decision to make at that point. I think technology, you just can't give that over to technology. But I mean, it sounds really interesting. It sounds a new way to do things. But with all these navigation mobility aids, really the proof of the pudding is using it outside, using it in the real world. Have you got much feedback?
So we are currently testing with our blind friends. So far, the return is very promising. To be honest, the 3D sound actually is much better in terms of precision than telling to the people turn to 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
Because turn to 10 o'clock would be a best 30 degree of precision. And the 3D sound we have is 10 degree of precision. So you are much more precise in the orientation of the user.
Well, telling someone is subjective, isn't it? Because you could turn too far. You think you've turned to 10 o'clock, and you actually turned further.
But the beauty for us, the 3D sound, is that if this sound is in front of you, so you are in the right direction. Because 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, it's more, how do I say, it's not natural for everyone to know what is the direction itself. So far the return is good. I mean, we still have 3 months to adjust the algorithms, I mean, everything is working, honestly, but we need to tune all the possible cases, whether we can compute the things in order to give this safety to the user. So yes, I mean, technically there is no any doubt for the moment, but with the testing we will find probably the glitches, the decision-making process, which will not exactly fit what we want to do. But so far the return is very good.
Okay, so you're saying 3 months, so that's when it's due to come out. So what's that? Where are we?
We will be in about October.
Okay.
Yeah, I think last time we were talking about September.
Yeah.
But it will be more October than September.
And what kind of availability are we looking at that stage? Are we talking UK, Europe? Are you looking to get into the US, Canada?
Yeah, actually the system will work everywhere. But as you know, our system is working with AI. So somehow we have to fine-tune on country-by-country basis. So we have a important database for training our models, but we will fine-tune to adapt to the local differentiations in a urban architecture. So saying this, I think we will be in continental Europe probably in about October. Maybe in the UK it will be 1 month maximum, 1 month late, but not more.
Okay.
To be honest.
And this is again, this is the issue with regulations impacting on AI.
Yeah.
I mean, Europe has its own regulations now. The US is having a bit of a free for all at the moment.
Yeah.
That may change in the coming months. Who knows? Every country has, as you say, their own regulations. What about pricing, though? What's your pricing for this?
The pricing will be around. I can say around because this will be sold in the UK by Sight and Sound. But anyway, it will be around 3,000 euros or pounds or dollars.
So kind of as the crow flies,
yeah.
essentially. Yeah. Okay.
So
What's the
this is
battery
roughly-
life on this?
The battery life is 4 hours.
Okay,
It's
that's good.
full 4 hours of operation. I have to say that actually the headset is 2 hours and the compute unit is 4 hours plus 1 charge for the headset. So
Oh, right.
on
Okay.
actually you can connect the headset to the compute unit and
Yeah.
it will charge in 15 minutes for another 2 hours.
Oh, that's good. Okay.
So 2 hours I think is enough to go from a place to work, for example.
Yeah.
And you can charge, and then you still have 2 hours to come back, all working in 4 hours.
And I'm asking you this, and we all know the answer to it, but I think it's important to say it out loud sometimes. You're not pitching this as a replacement for the guide dog or the cane,
No,
right?
absolutely
That's not what this is
not.
about.
It's a complement
Yeah.
of information. We know what a guide dog or a cane can do. I think we will complement this information.
Yeah.
Actually, there is no contradiction to use both.
Yeah.
For me, it's even better if you have both. Anyway, one thing I can tell you is that we will not promote to use the KapX alone.
Yeah.
This is not the subject.
Yeah. One final question before I let you go. You obviously sell the Smart Vision, the Mini Vision phones as well. You're well known for that.
Yes.
A smartphone is not dependent for this.
Absolutely not.
So this is entirely independent.
Exactly.
And in terms of the Smart Vision, when are we getting the new one? When's 4 coming out? When's Pro? Come on, Aram, give us some news here.
Well, the only thing I can say, I cannot tell you when, but I can tell you that it will come with the latest Android. It will be 5G. It will work worldwide. and we will have AI computing power eventually to offer the things that we know.
He's exciting me now.
That was your idea, wasn't it, Stephen?
I'm sure I trademarked that. Yeah, I'm sure I've got a trademark of that somewhere. I mean, look, I think as I said before to you, I think the Smart Vision phones are great, and I just personally felt it could do with more power in it. And some colour choices. Are we getting colour choices?
Oh, don't listen.
Come on, we've got to get some colour choices. I mean, white's nice, but I want some other choices.
What color you would like to?
Blue.
I like a blue. I do like a blue. Or a double tap red.
Yeah.
Double tap red. Why not?
There you
There you go. We'll make it happen.
Problem solved.
Noted.
Noted. Not done, but noted. Aram, thank you so much for coming on. We look forward to learning more. Come back and tell us more. And of course, we'll be getting your hands on with the headset.
The
as well,
one thing I can maybe add you is that before we finish, currently the KapX works outdoor. So the next steps, we already programmed the additional features for next year. We will go indoor, sorry.
Interesting.
And the second, we will have the reading possibilities of the urban direction indicators, the numbers. For example, you're waiting a bus and you would like to know which bus number is or what is the direction of the bus. So all these things will be running on KapX by simple upgrades, software, and with no additional payment.
Yeah, that's interesting because like a lot of hardware now, when you buy it, you get updates that come along, and you're saying that by buying this, you will also get other additional functions down the line as well.
Yeah,
it's very interesting. Aram, great to meet you.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Come back soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, would you buy one of those?
I'd like to try it out, put it that way.
Yeah, me
we'll
too.
Find out.
Well, we're going to try it out. We're going to definitely try it out. Listen, let's move on and find out more about what's been going on with HumanWare. They're actually just behind us, their stand, but Martin Roberts joins us at our stand. Martin Roberts, welcome back to Double Tap.
Oh, thanks.
It's great to have you here, and you sound nervous. Are you all right?
I'm not nervous. I mean, I'm obviously nervous because I'm talking to the great Shaun Priest.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh,
hi, I'm
you
here.
like that,
I mean, I've talked to you before, so I'm not nervous about talking to you. It's just just talking to Shaun. It's quite scary. I've seen all these great stuff from the shed, and
calm down. It's fine. Thank you.
Listen, we've got lots to talk about, of course, because you've got lots of interesting products on the stand. There's one product that we don't talk about a lot on Double Tap at the moment. That's the Monarch. So what's going on there? How's that going?
Okay, so we've had the Monarch out, I think, for about 6 months, just over now, and we're seeing sales picking up, which is good. And we've had some great reviews from people like Jackie Kearns, who says Monarch's her car. She absolutely loves it, which is that's an unsolicited review. Then she bought one. But we have been adding new features to Monarch because when it was launched, we obviously knew we had a roadmap and things to do. So we've added things like email. We've added things like a one-handed mode, which might seem that something that just needs to be there for certain people, especially because of the Monarch the way it is. You don't need to pan very often to read through text. We've got 10 lines of 32 characters, so it's quite a lot to be able to read at one time. We've been working with our friends at Vispero and our friends as well with NVDA, the NVDA crew, NV Access. So we now have beta access that we're showing on the stand with NVDA and JAWS. And this is really cool when it comes to showing things like spreadsheets because we can move around tables. There's a table mode that's particularly in JAWS, which is really quite cool. So we can you can see the cell on the bottom of the display. You can see the formula, and that's really quite nice. And we've also added 2 different modes of interaction with text. So I think I'm right in saying that we're the only multiline braille display where you can actually do cursor routing, which you can't on the dot pad, to my knowledge. I can be proven wrong, and if I'm wrong, I do apologise. But so we can either do a single tap, not double tap, but a single tap on a cell.
Don't like it.
Yeah, of course. Well, we don't need to do. We need to do it. We do it right the first time, right? We don't need to double tap. Single tap.
Yeah.
That explains it.
Yeah. Or we can do a point and click, where you put your finger on the cell and then press the action button. So there's 2 different ways of interacting with a cursor, which is really awesome. and of course we've got text input for both of those screen readers as well.
How are you finding people's reaction to this? Because it's a new way, isn't it, to think about, well, I mean, do you even look at it as a braille display, tactile display? How are people sort of getting it in their heads? I find the whole concept slightly confusing, being so used to a single line display, right?
Yeah, I mean, one of the biggest issues, I think, is things like when you've got 10 lines of 32 characters, is finding your cursor. Because it could be anywhere on that. So this is why we've got the cursor routing. And if people aren't sure, I just show them a picture of a dog. Easy.
Sorry?
I just show them a picture of a dog on the braille display.
Oh, right. Okay. Okay.
Or a bar chart or something, to really bring it across that actually this is multi-line, this is a graphical display as well as just purely textual.
And the spreadsheet example, again, is another great way of showing that, right? It's just so difficult to get so much information quickly, but this is the best way to do it.
Oh yeah, and if you think about using something like JAWS, where you've got a split braille, so we can show, for example, a couple of lines of the document where you've got all your bold, underline and stuff on, and the 8 lines on the display could be something else. Or you could show one application and then another application on the display. So it really opens up this whole split braille thing. And I think that, when split braille first came out, it was with an eye to these multi-line displays. Split braille in JAWS, where we can show different. Normally you'd split a 40 or an 80 display into 2.
You've still got all the usual products on sale, right? You're selling the Mantis Q40, which is extremely popular. I know that a lot of people talk about that, including me, because I bought one.
Oh, he doesn't shut up about it.
I do like it, I've got to say. Still love it.
We've got an update for the Mantis coming out very soon. So there's a few new features. I think I'm under NDA. So
I don't think you are. You're fine.
No, I think
I'm
sure it's fine.
I think
What could possibly go wrong, Martin? I mean, you don't need a career, do you?
That's fine.
Well, it's just Andrew he'd have my guts for garters. And you know what Andrew's like. I mean,
yeah. We know Andrew well.
We do have we are running a beta at the moment with some new features. So that, I'm guessing you should invite me on maybe in a month to talk about that.
Okay, all right. We will get you back on for that. I mean, that's the thing though. What's great about this device is there are lots of new features coming out. I mean, we saw, of course, the audio feature that was brought out, which, had a real mixed response. Some people who loved the idea of it, some people who absolutely thought, why would you want this? Why do you need it? But for a lot of people new to this, or people who are coming to a braille display like this, because it's got the QWERTY input, because it's got the inbuilt menu and the capability to load up libraries and all the rest of it, having that audio component is brilliant, and you don't need new hardware for it. You just update and you've got it.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think that was a bit of surprise when we did that. It was for me anyway. I didn't know anything about it, and I was just told, "Oh, by the way, this is the beta. This is happening." And because sometimes I get to know things at the same time. I don't get any advance warning, right? So I just find out things at the same time as maybe the other beta testers, but I don't get really any advance warning about what we're doing necessarily.
And what about the BI20X and the 40X? Because they're still very popular, right?
Yeah, the 20 is. To be honest, I probably use the 20 more than any of our other braille displays. I probably shouldn't say that, but I'm just straight with you. It's like the 20 goes everywhere with me. I'm going on holiday to a city you may know called Glasgow at the end of July. If anyone wants to buy me a beer, please do so.
I'm not available that week, by the way.
Oh, great.
Do you go on holiday to Glasgow? Is that a holiday destination?
Well, it's better than Bristol.
Oh no! That has literally put us against each other. I like it. Originally from Bristol over here, and originally from Glasgow over here. Wow!
But please carry on.
That will be like we will. Kirsten was saying, my wife was saying, I'll be taking my 20 with me, and I'm like, well, I'll be taking mine because we just use them all the time.
Don't you just love the conversations that blind people have around what tech they're taking on holiday?
Oh, how many battery packs? How many cables are you taking?
Yep.
And how many charges, especially.
So you don't feel limited by the 20 cell at all?
I wouldn't. If I'm on my desktop, if I'm doing proper sitting down on a PC, I'd use a 40. I'm very lucky in that I've got all of our technology at home, so I can just pick and choose, right? So literally the JAWS thing, that's only been, particularly with the cursor routing, that's only been active for a week. So this is really, this is as new as we're going to get, kind of information for today. But I've got to say, working with Visparo, they've been absolutely fantastic, to help get this going. They've been absolutely brilliant, and it's good to see companies, working together just to get these innovations out. I mean, these spreadsheets and multiline braille, that could be a game changer for people in employment, right?
Yeah.
And certainly for students as well.
Well, that's always the argument for these kind of devices. And ultimately, let's be honest about it, Martin, the Monarch is in a position where that's really where it is aimed at the moment, right?
Of course, yeah.
You can't expect a consumer to walk up today to your booth and buy a Monarch. Someone might, but it's not as likely, is it?
Well, I mean, you know, I mentioned, Jackie's all things braille. I mean, she's been a braille advocate for as long as I've been at HumanWare, longer than I've been at HumanWare. And to get someone like Jackie writing a review and it's available online, you know, we didn't know anything about that. She could have said, instead of saying this is my car, she could have said this is a car crash. But she actually didn't, you know, so that wasn't, you know, expected. And so we do get people, some people will decide, actually, you know what, I haven't got, I don't drive a car, I don't have these expenses coming out. Maybe I am retired, maybe I don't want to do a lot of reading, you know, or maybe that is a choice I'm going to make. I'm not saying everyone can afford it, and I'm certainly not blasé about the price. We know it. We know this technology is expensive, right?
Yeah.
So I'm certainly not making light of it, and I don't want any of your listeners to think I am, because look, I'm blind as well. I'm in the same. I would have to, you know, consider what I would do with my money. You know, I've got a mortgage and the stuff that, you know, other people have. So.
That you were ready to risk by opening up to us about your NDA, which is kind of interesting to me from a career point of view.
But I don't think I told you about any new features, did I?
No, you didn't. You're fine. But I want to ask you a little bit about the Hark AI, because that's a little bit different in the range. Because of course we know HumanWare for braille displays, and of course we've talked about this many times. But you also have the low vision side of the business, which is magnification. The Hark AI, I'd say, is more for blind people, in my mind. I mean, for low vision people as well. Talk about that device, because I just got a demo of it. It was very interesting. Okay, so
we've always had a reading machine. Now, I started with HumanWare in 2005, and then we had a machine called the Scanner. After that, I think we had the iPal. I don't know if anyone remembers that one.
Oh, I remember the iPal. Yeah, the iPal Solo, wasn't it?
Yeah. There were a number of iterations of that, and then we had various. We've always had a standalone reading machine, and so we carried the Hark, I think about 2, maybe 3 years ago, and it was developed by the guy that developed the iPal, actually, and so we'd been working with him for a long time, and he came back and said, okay, I've got this new machine. It's more compact, it's more accurate, it's smaller, it runs on batteries, blah blah. And then I think it would be about a year ago now that he came and said, oh, guess what, I've just developed the ability, if it's online, that we can send things off to AI. So maybe you've got a postcard or something, and you put the postcard under, and it will read the handwriting, and it will give you the description, much like, you know, we've got apps that do that now, like Seeing AI and stuff. Now, some people, for whatever reason, just can't be focusing an iPhone that well, or don't have the inclination to pick up a phone, and they just want to put something underneath a standalone device and get that same kind of AI information, right?
Yeah.
So that's where it comes in, and it's been incredibly popular. It's not a part of the business that I usually deal with. I mainly deal with braille, but I've seen, you know, reactions to people who are on the stand, and when it reads handwriting out, sometimes you can get those moments, you know, where it might read something like, as I say, a postcard or a letter or something from a family member, and you can get those little moments where it does get a little bit tear-jerky.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, I imagine Sean's going to jump in and say, but I've got apps that can do this.
I preempted it.
You did preempt that, and I think that there's often that jump to, but my iPhone can do this. But this isn't. I would say this is for people who absolutely have an iPhone or an Android phone. That's fine. But I think there are a lot of people out there who don't want. And, you know, as well as that, you know, I would see this. I mean, one of the examples given that on the demo I got was with the Woman's Own magazine, I think it was. And, you know,
your favourite, Steve.
One of my, I'm never is it off my bedside. Yeah, absolutely. But the thing is, you know, he was able to. It was Pedro who was showing me this over at the stand, and he put it under, and it contextualized the front page. So it didn't just say, you know, from top left to bottom right, all the text on the page. It actually contextualized it. And that's the bit that's different to these. I mean, not so much different in that a lot of apps can do this, But it's the simplicity of the device. You don't have to do anything.
Exactly, you just hold a button. And it
press
does.
a button and it does it.
I think the key thing is you can still use it as a standalone reader, right? So you can still just put your document, literally with the device, you just put a document underneath it and it automatically snaps that picture.
Yeah.
You don't need to press anything. If you want to do the AI, you explicitly say, I want to AI this, right? So, it doesn't just do it without you knowing about it. Because there are obviously AI implications with any AI, right? If you're going to send private stuff up there, you might want to think twice if it's like bank statements and stuff. Because any AI, if you're going to take a picture with seeing AI, right, and you send it to that picture up to the Microsoft's AI, I probably wouldn't do that if it was me for some stuff, right?
Of course, yeah, and privacy is important, but I think it's important that we say that you don't need an internet connection just to do the standard scan, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, perfect. No, that sounds very interesting. What AI is it using as its core? Do you know?
I don't know. I imagine it's ChatGPT, but I've not been told. Just because I've never been asked such a sensible question before.
Oh, thank you. Stephen, over to you.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I'm glad you handed it to me. But, I think it's really important that people realise that you can, as you say, use this in a standalone mode or with AI. So you've got that button which can you can basically choose what you want.
Exactly.
And that is really important. Because like you say, for me, I'm thinking about a doctor's letter that's come in. How many times do we hear people say, I've received a doctor's letter and it's on a piece of paper, it's in standard print, I can't read this, it's inaccessible to me. And a device like this can make that possible, make it easier to read. But you do not want that going up to ChatGPT.
No, maybe you don't want to do that.
Yeah.
But then we all have the situation where you get something and the normal OCR just isn't cutting the mustard, right?
Yeah.
And you say, actually, well, I'm going to just do it. But, it's an interesting one, isn't it? It's a choice.
And can you also drill down into that when it's not just giving you the context of reading out what you're taking a picture of, but you could also drill down and say, can you give me, I don't know, telephone number from this document and things like that?
It will just give you that information. You can't explicitly ask it questions because there's no way to do that. Do you mind if I circle back to Monarch? Because there's something that's quite major that I really forgot to mention this. So we're showing an app today on the stand called WingIt, which I think relates to the wings of a butterfly, right? So you've got an iPad or an iPhone, and this is all voiceover accessible, and you literally draw on the screen of an iPad or an iOS device, and whatever you draw or a picture that you pull into the app will literally go onto the Monarch in real time.
Oh, wow.
So can you imagine in this class situation where you're drawing shapes or maybe drawing a chart? The cool thing about this is that you can label with, there's a braille to kind of a braille labels that you can put on these images. So we've got a braille font that a sighted person can see both the braille and so a teacher who doesn't know braille could label something up for a blind person in real time.
Wow.
And I think that is, Alan, it's on the stand, and so if you want to look at that, it is so cool.
Yeah, that's incredible. Martin, thanks so much for coming over. Good to chat again, and I'll see you in Glasgow.
Hopefully, yeah.
Hopefully. Don't let us under that.
No.
Okay, clearly I'm not getting an invite to any parties. Right, thanks, Martin.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Martin.
Charcoals, 6:30.
It's a good choice. Well, it's been a fun time here at Sight Village, chatting to some amazing people here at our booth, but Shaun's decided to go for a walk. Shaun, where are you?
Thanks, Stephen. Well, I found something quite unusual at Sight Village, and that's a company that I haven't seen before, so that's always exciting. I'm here with Craig from Unwired
Things.
Right. There you go, Unwired Things. Okay, so Craig, tell me about your company. It's fairly new, right?
Yes, so we're a Danish company. We've just released a whole range of products onto the UK market. We're already in Denmark, Sweden, Norway, Netherlands, and Germany. Our product series is aimed at making aids for daily living more affordable, but also in expanding the range of what's actually available to blind and visually impaired people.
Now, this is an interesting concept, and it's something I haven't really seen before. So we're talking about a range of products here, such as, what have we got? A tape measure I just had a little play with.
That's right. So we have at the moment available a kitchen thermometer, room thermometer, kitchen scale, bathroom scale. And then our solution is built around a remote control. So all of our products are wirelessly have wireless connectivity. the remote control is able to connect to all of them. So if you need speech readout from those, rather than having the speech embedded in the product, it comes from the remote controller.
Okay, right. That's why I said this is a novel approach, right? Because none of these products speak on their own.
No.
We've got talking tape measures before and talking kitchen scales,
Yeah.
but rather the speech comes out of this separate remote control.
Yes, that's right.
So, okay, the question has to be, why?
Why? That's a good question. So, coming from a smaller country like Denmark, the economics of making talking assistive devices is not very good. If you have to make a relatively small number of products and add a particular language to them, it's quite difficult to do that in a cost-effective way. So it ends up being a very expensive affair. By doing this, it's given us a few advantages. One of them is that we're able to actually go out and take a starting point in some high-quality existing products. Also, design-wise, the products look like something everybody else wants in the household. And by just putting a new software package onto our controller, we can make all of the products in our series speak a language.
Yeah, well, okay, it's a very interesting approach to it, and I understand the advantages there. But what are the costs of the devices themselves? Let's take, for example, the tape measure here.
Yeah.
Is that, price-wise, is that cheaper than a speaking version because of that, or is it around the same price?
So if we take our tape measure, then there's nothing really quite comparable to it on the market today because it's a flexible tape measure. So there's not really anything out there with speech today which would allow you to take body measurements for or doing things like knitting and those types of hobby things. So in that sense, it's already got some unique functionality. But price-wise, it's around £60 here in the UK. So I would say that's within shooting distance for most people economically. Also.
Fantastic. Okay, and what other devices have you got planned or are in the range right now?
So as I said, we have kitchen and bathroom scales. We have a kitchen thermometer. We have a room thermometer, hygrometer. Later in the second half of this year, we're releasing a color sensor, which is a plug-in module for the remote control, which has a combined light sensor and color sensor. We have a blood pressure meter, forehead thermometer, calipers, an angle measure, and object locators. So all of those are coming out over the next 6 to 8 months.
Wow, you're covering everything there, it sounds like. And availability, are these available to get now, and what countries are they available in?
So as I said, right now we've released into Sweden, Denmark, Norway, Netherlands and Germany. We have plans to roll out in most of the Balkan countries and Greece here later in the year, Switzerland, Austria. And then we have some negotiations ongoing in a handful of other countries as well. So we expect by the end of the year to be in around 20 countries.
Wow, fantastic. As I said, yeah, really interesting approach to this. And I think I've had a little play with the remote control. It's very loud, easy to hear, and you've got the volume controls. So yeah, I'm very interested to see what people think of this. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you. Nice to meet you both.
You too.
Now, Shaun, knowing you, now you're actually moving around. You've decided to continue walking around. So where are you now?
So I'm here with Mary at the Synapptic booth, and I've got to say, Mary, Stephen hasn't shut up about your smartwatch. The Synapptic smartwatch, Stephen is absolutely loving it. I'm sure lots of people have been asking questions about that here at Sight Village too.
Yes, so we've had a really good response to it. We've launched it very recently, and we've had a lot of buzz and interest around the stand. A lot of people have been asking questions about it, and yeah, it's been great.
And I understand there's 2 versions, right?
Yeah, so we've got like a plus version, and that is the fully featured version, so that has everything on it. So that's really great if you want all of the features of a basic watch, but also it's got health and fitness monitoring on it. It's also got calls and texts that you can do, and it's like a standalone product because it's got its own SIM card. That costs $299. If you wanted a more basic version, we do like a light version, and that is $149. And that has still all of the high contrast features on there of the smartwatch. It comes with alarms and timers and all the customization features. but it doesn't come with the SIM card, that version.
Ah, right, okay. So what made you move towards smartwatches then? Was there a demand, or was it something you were looking at previously?
I suppose at Synapptic we've always wanted to try to keep developing products and innovating. Originally we designed our mobile technology around giving people access to mainstream mobile phones and tablets, and there just wasn't anything on the market in terms of smartwatches that really gave people good access with sight loss. So we really focused on developing something specifically for people with sight loss, so that they could easily access a lot of the features that other people are used to when they're using smartwatches.
Yeah, absolutely. So what else are you working on? Are we expecting any surprise devices from Synapptic anytime soon? What's coming up?
Let's just say we're continuing to develop. We're always looking at what isn't out there and what we could improve on as well. So at the moment we are looking at a few projects, but that's all I can tell you at the moment.
Come on, give us an exclusive.
Confidential. Sorry.
Okay, well, another product I've heard lots of people talking about is the USB book reader. Can you tell us anything about that?
Yeah, so we just launched that as well before the smartwatch. We started doing speakers a couple of years ago. Really, things built up after King's Audio went off the scene, and we felt a real demand for the speakers. Obviously, a lot of people had them and used them and were used to them, and we were a bit frustrated then, obviously, that they couldn't source another new speaker. So we took that on and we manufactured our own speakers. So we're now up to version 3 of that speaker. So we listened to a lot of feedback from people, and one of the key things that people wanted was a headphone jack within the speaker, so that they could listen privately to audiobooks, to music, to things off their phone. You know, so and another thing was we really improved like reading books, and like we've now got really good like bookmarking features, so you can bookmark within tracks as well as skip between tracks, and also skip between books within the speaker as well. So it works really well for people, especially for reading books, but also, like I said, you can listen to audio because it's Bluetooth, so you can just connect to your mobile phone or tablet as well.
All right. And can you Bluetooth out from it as well, or is it just a headphone, jack?
Yeah, it's just a headphone jack. Yeah. So, a lot of people just use it with the RNIB audiobook service. To be fair, that is one of the biggest uses of it. But like I said, it has become popular, and people are really using it for general audio now.
Fantastic. Okay, and you're sure you can't give us any little exclusives about what's coming up? Maybe an accessible TV tuner or anything?
No, not yet, I'm afraid, but watch this space.
We will do. Thank you so much, Mary.
Okay, that's brilliant. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Brilliant.
Okay, Shaun, thanks for that. Well, look, stick around. Plenty more to come here from Sight Village in Birmingham right after this.
This is Double Tap. We'll be right back.
Double Tap thanks Pneuma Solutions for supporting this podcast and for their continued commitment to digital accessibility. Pneuma Solutions is behind some of the most powerful accessibility tools out there, all designed by blind developers who understand the real-world challenge of inaccessible tech. Whether it's Remote Incident Manager or RIM, which lets you give or receive fully accessible remote tech support across PC and Mac, or Scribe, which turns inaccessible meeting documents into screen reader-friendly files instantly, Pneuma is solving real problems with smart, usable tools. They're not just building products, they're building independence. And now, to celebrate our new partnership, Pneuma is offering something special to the Double Tap community. 10 free community support subscriptions for Remote Incident Manager and 10 subscriptions to Scribe for Documents. It's your chance to experience accessible tech support and real-time document remediation. Subscribe to our newsletter at doubletaponair.com/subscribe to enter for a chance to win.
This is Double Tap. Now, back to the show.
Coming up, we are going to be hearing about some rather cool artwork designs, Shaun. Lumpy, bumpy artwork.
A way to access artwork. Interesting.
But first, let's catch up with Jean-Marc Feghali. He is from WeWalk, and we're pleased to welcome him back to Double Tap to talk all about the WeWalk Smart Cane 2. Jean-Marc, welcome back.
Yeah, thanks for having me on here. You can't get rid of me. I'm just going to be here every single year.
I know, that's how it works. Well, listen, it's great to have you here. Thank you so much for coming back. And I love having you on the show to find out what's going on. WeWalk, of course, Smart Cane 2, the return of the killer cane.
Yep. I wouldn't, that's not in our marketing material. We do not call it a killer. Actually, we're trying to do quite the opposite. We're
Okay,
trying to
you
make sure
don't want people... Right, okay, I get it. I think it sounds good in posters, doesn't it?
Return of the caring cane. Let's
caring
go with
cane.
that.
All right.
Exactly,
Fine,
your
okay.
caring companion.
You guys workshop it and figure it out. Let me know at the end. But listen, tell us about the WeWalk Smart Cane 2. How's it going? Because it's now launched, it's now available. People are buying it. People are talking about it. What's your take on what people are telling you?
Well, I'm going to give you a slightly biased opinion, not just because obviously I work for WeWalk, but because I actually use one and I've got mine quite literally right in front of me
Right here,
now.
yeah.
But no, it's a great device. I think the user feedback we got from Smart Cane 1 was very much justified. I mean, it was our Gen 1 product. We wanted to bring all the great features of obstacle detection and smartphone connectivity to light in our first version, which we did. But of course, just given how quickly technology moves, technology at the time just wasn't as small as we wanted it to be to get to the form factor that we wanted. And so with Smart Cane 2, we were finally able to address all of that feedback, again, thanks to how far technology has come, thanks to us also upskilling and just learning a lot. And it's really been going great. When we launched Smart Cane 2 in January, of course, it's the first gen of a second gen product. So we were very much so boots on the ground, really working closely with our partner organizations and our first adopters of Smart Cane 2 to iron out any bugs. And we're now at a place where we're, quite confident, and it's just such a great day-to-day tool. So as a recap, Smart Cane 2, world's first smart cane to look and feel like a traditional white cane. It packs in obstacle detection, a flashlight. You can connect it to your smartphone to get navigation and exploration. And we're even trialing the implementation of GPT and sort of having an AI voice assistant that you can talk to built into your cane. So big leaps forward from our first version.
Shaun, have you tried this cane?
I haven't, no. I was just thinking, how long has it actually been available now?
So Smart Cane 2 has been available since January, and Smart Cane 1's been around for a couple of years now, since 2020.
Yeah, I remember. But has there been any updates since the release of the Gen 2?
Lots of software and firmware updates, which are all free of charge, which all happen over the air. So you wouldn't even know it. You just connect up your Smart Cane, it says, here's an update, and you update it. So the hardware has remained largely the same. But we've made lots of these little, again, behind-the-scenes software tweaks. I will say one thing, which is, again, a testament to just how closely we work with the community. We did change our packaging. So when we first shipped out Smart Cane 2 units, they'd kind of come disassembled. You wouldn't have an easy-to-access instruction manual in the box. But thanks to, again, feedback from our wonderful partners at Sight and Sound Technology, RNIB, Guide Dogs UK, and just a whole long list of them, we've improved the box design. It now comes attached. It even has the manual stuck inside it. So we've made these little, quality of life improvements to make sure that even though we've just launched it, it's still getting better and better.
And what's the feedback from the users of the cane? Are they saying they like a particular feature over another one, or is it just the general feel of it? Because the design was different from the Gen 1, right, as you mentioned before.
Yeah. I think the first thing that strikes people really is that design. I mean, 60 or 50% of the time, again, completely made up number here, but that's sort of how we'd expect you to be using your WeWalk. Think of it. You're sort of waking up in the morning, going to the grocery store. It's a familiar journey. You don't necessarily pull out your mapping apps to do that. But we kind of wanted to give people a device that doesn't compromise that fundamental experience. You can still use WeWalk like a normal cane and forget about the smart features. And I think that's one of the really positive feedbacks that users gave us, in the sense that I can still use it even though I don't want to use it. It's an interesting paradox.
Yeah.
But on top of that, the obstacle detection, I think, has been a real favorite here. So we've really refined the obstacle detection with Smart Cane 2, and we consider it genuinely to be one of the most advanced obstacle detection systems out there in general, in the sense that it's a very narrow beam. It only detects things that you'll walk into in your cane swipe. So say it picks up and beeps or vibrates on the left-hand side, you know that there's something on the left, you can use it to shoreline. It's that specific. But if you get no more detection in the mid-swipe, when you're in the middle of your swipe, then you know it's clear to walk. That's how sort of accurate we were able to get it. You can use it to detect revolving doors, sort of how far the door is within its revolution. You can detect when a lift door opens even. So that level of detection has been really praised by users. One of them, for instance, who is part of our clients through our Guide Dogs UK project, just said ever since I've been using my WeWalk Smart Cane, I don't think I've had anything touch my face or head. And of course, people also like the navigation and AI features. I think especially with the AI, we're still learning what you can do with it. So people are finding weird and wacky ways. You know, sometimes we'd ask WeWalk simple questions like, where are we? Or we can ask it crazy things like, how can I make a chocolate chip cookie? Why would you want to know that while you're at a bus stop? I have no idea. But
Why not?
You can. That's what I'm saying. So you can, which is great.
Now, I for full disclosure, you're going to be sending me one of your WeWalk Smart Cane 2s
Yes.
to actually test and review.
Yep.
I cannot wait to get hands-on with it, and we're going to try and get together at some point so you can get a shot as well.
Yep.
Because I think it'd be really good for you to try it. I mean, I think for me, it's going to be about it's always the overhead stuff, isn't it? It's always those overhead branches, which I'm forever face planting most days of my life because people haven't cut their bushes back or their hedges back, and that's just the way it goes. But like you say, going further than that, knowing when a lift door is open, you know, being able to identify doorways, perhaps that could be really useful.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can. I mean, it's sensitive enough, especially on the short setting for the obstacle detection. You've got 3 settings. With the short setting, you've got that level of precision where you can actually find doors. Even again, going back to that Guide Dogs project, since we have our VRS service who's actually implementing canes and actually teaching people how to use WeWalks who are waiting for Guide Dogs. So they're being very technical with our cane and using that obstacle detection to find shorelines. So instead of bashing your cane against a solid wall, you can just use the beeps of the detection every time you're in your left or right swipe to find out where it is. So again, constantly coming up with new ways to use that obstacle detection.
I want to ask you a little bit about that. There's one aspect of WeWalk which, for a lot of orientation and mobility instructors, can be really useful. And I wanted you to explain this a little bit for me, because we touched on it the last time you were on the show, but it didn't quite catch me at that moment. I kind of had a chance to think about it, and it was really interesting. Essentially, it's a software built into the cane which can track the movement of the cane, and then someone who's, say, an orientation and mobility instructor can then use that information to almost assess a client, to say how well they've walked, how well they've been getting out and about, how they've been moving around.
Yeah.
Is that right? Have I got that right?
Yeah, no, you have. You hit the nail on the head there. And I'm glad you picked up on that, because that's, again, one of the novel features which you can sort of do with a Smart Cane platform. And granted, when we first made Smart Cane, we had no idea we were going to build something like this. It's just kind of how technology lends itself. But yeah, one of the key things we found out very early on, I mean, this was back in the Smart Cane 1 days, is that, look, number one, you're not replacing the cane. We're never going to do that. But number two, it's so important to be in tune with teaching and O&M specialists who are the gatekeepers to our community. You know, we love O&M specialists. You need them to go through, you need them to sort of become independent. But unfortunately, a lot of the time, the data that they've had to rely on has been quite outdated, or it's very sort of qualitative. You sort of have to rely on users telling you, well, okay, I've gone out today, and you just don't really know if that's true. And oftentimes, it's just positive reaffirmation. Whereas with us, we're like, okay, wait a minute. We've got a bunch of sensors here. We've got the inertial measurement unit on WeWalk Smart Cane. Why don't we use that data for good? Why don't we look at things like the way the cane's being moved? And when we asked O&Ms what data they wanted, we found out that actually a lot of that data, with a bit of mathematical trickery here and there, can actually be pulled out from the data we can pull from the cane. For example, posture. A good indication of posture is the angle the cane makes to the ground up to your shoulder blade, and we can measure the angle that cane makes. And of course, because we have different sized canes that adapt to different size heights, that angle kind of stays the same, even if you're tall and if you're short. So we can kind of tell if a person's leaning too much to the left or right with the way the angle changes. On top of that, we can tell if a user is confident or not in an environment by how far away they go from their center block. So think of it, when you're walking, you're very confident. You tend not to have very wide swipes, which is the way you should be. You should only really be swiping sort of within where your feet are, within the boundaries of your feet. Whereas if you're not confident, that kind of degrades a bit, and you start swiping really wide to kind of pick up things that are sort of, that might
That's true, yeah.
might walk into.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that's not a good technique because you might just walk straight into a pole or a tree branch if you do that. And that's again information that we can pull up through pendulum motion from the Smart Cane. So again, and it's fine. All the mathematical stuff is really cool, but we also dial it back and ask really simple questions in that AIM system, such as how far have you walked today, or how long have you spent outdoors, or how confident are you feeling? We're essentially empowering mobility trainers and teachers with data that they haven't had before. And again, just like with all our other features, we're still learning. So we're still sort of understanding just how far we can push this and just how revolutionary it can be for our community.
Could you almost take this, I mean, I'm sorry, O&M instructors, but could you also take this to almost an in-app O&M training experience as well using that technology?
Well, that's the thing. I don't think so. I think, O&M is such a deeply personal thing. And the trainers really are the key here. Everyone has individual needs, and I don't think no matter how good AI gets, I don't think you're ever going to be able to replace that deep personal one-to-one bond and understanding that you would make with your mobility instructor. I think for us, just like with the standard cane, we don't replace. We really just empower, and we try to fill in gaps. So for instance, just like with Smart Cane 1, most of it's just a standard cane shaft. We've just changed the handle and made it a bit better. Same with O&M. The O&M trainer is still the key here. We're just giving them better data to make more actionable choices.
But there's a flip side to that, isn't there? Which is, I think about people who live, say, in highland areas or rural areas, especially our listeners across Canada. There are many parts that are remote that trying to get an O&M instructor to that person might be challenging in a town or an area where there's very few people, especially few blind people. Yeah. So there's a kind of flip side to that, where, maybe not an app necessarily, but a remote support tool for O&M. Exactly.
Actually, that's one of the things we're pitching. So the fact that you can still get all of this data, even if you're really far away. We actually thought up of this in the pandemic. A lot of O&M one-to-one in-person stuff had to stop. But then how do you measure mobility when you're over Zoom? How do you know if someone's using that cane correctly? So for us, that remote training aspect and like virtual teaching really works well. Actually, a really nice example. Back in October, when we were first piloting an early version of AIM with pre-launch Smart Cane 2 units, our team traveled to Canada to the Vision Loss Rehab Center in Canada, the VLRC. And they had about over 50 O&Ms there. They went out, they did some data collection with their WeWalk Smart Cane, and then I was sat in a Starbucks in London. And they were like, all right, Jean-Marc, analyze the data. And I said, okay, challenge accepted. And on this, live feed in front of all these O&Ms, I said, well, you did this, you went up here, you took a turn there, you kind of lost a bit of technique around that bend. What were you doing? But then you sort of picked that back up again.
That's amazing.
And it's really nice to criticize people from a distance because they can't.
I like that. That's just me. I like that. Should I get a job doing that?
No, but all jokes aside, I mean, and it was great. Like we were really able to pick up finite details, even though I was literally thousands of miles away. So that remote aspect is great, but it doesn't replace. It just empowers.
Yeah, listen, I wish you all the best with this. You're doing a great job with what you're doing, and come back. Tell us more about what you're doing, the updates that are coming. Of course, I look forward to getting hands-on myself. And,
for sure.
You'll be hearing more about it on the show. But Jean-Marc, thank you as always for coming on to Double Tap.
Yeah, no, it's a pleasure. And thanks again for all the great questions. And what you guys are doing is great. Definitely giving us, again, as an organization of visually impaired people who just want to do good for our community, a lovely outlet to sort of talk about it and to, discuss all our projects. Thanks so much.
Thanks a lot.
Well, I am really looking forward to getting hands-on with the WeWalk Smart Cane too, Shaun. I think that's going to be a really interesting... it's because of the whole glide thing, right? Everyone's like, oh, glide is cool, and I'm excited about glide. I'm also excited to try this out because I've heard a lot about it, but I've never had hands-on. So, had the first edition, keen to try the second one.
Yeah.
Let's talk about artwork. Now, it's not something I would generally think about as being something particularly accessible, but one company's trying to make our own pictures, our own photographs accessible to us as blind people. Robert's here from CarveCo. Welcome to the show, Robert. Nice to have you here.
Hey, it's good to be here.
Nice to have you here. So tell us all about CarveCo.
CarveCo.
CarveCo. Tell us about it.
Yeah. So we are a software company, a software development house company. We typically develop software which is called bas relief modeling. It's the sort of artwork that you would typically see, say, in Italy or Greece, with all of the textured and the beautiful hand-carved artwork. We do that digitally, and we've done that digitally for quite a number of years now. And we tend to be known a little bit more for things like Haribo Sweets use our software to design all the confectionery, Thornton's chocolate. Also, a lot of the coins in the world, or most of the coins in the world, are designed in our software. So when you look at a coin or feel the texture or the Queen's head, for example, that's done within our software for design, as well as some banknotes and passports and security. But really, we are a artistic bas relief software, which is kind of a touchable, tactile, lumpy, bumpy artwork.
Wow. Lumpy, bumpy artwork. I like that.
Yeah.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah, it's a touchable, lumpy, bumpy artwork, really. It's the pretty stuff.
I think you had Stephen with Haribo and Thornton's chocolate.
I mean, yeah, I was kind of sold on that right
Yeah.
away. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, the confectionery side is so fascinating on how they actually make the confectionery, the artwork, the design, and how they produce millions of pieces of chocolate. But that's the world we are typically known for. But what we've come here with is something totally different. And that's quite interesting, we believe, for the vision impaired.
So tell us about it. Tell us what you're actually doing and how people can do this at home, because that's the bit that was interesting to me.
Yeah, so we have taken our software that we've been developing and thought, well, how can we use AI to automate the process, to speed things up, to get artwork in? It's great that people can still hand carve and do stuff via traditional methods, but actually those skills are getting less and less over time, and it's been done with software. We're like, well, okay, how do we automate this process? So we started down the route of seeing how we could automate the process for our large customers, and when we sat there, a spark kind of flicked off to us and then, well, actually, who would this benefit? Imagine if you could bring in a photograph of, a loved one, a pet, your wedding day, a grandchild, your baby, but you weren't able to see them. Imagine if you could bring that into the software, it turned it into a lumpy bumpy or a bas relief bit of artwork, and you could actually produce that either on a low-cost CNC, but we were like, actually, no, you could do this on a 3D printer, which means the cost is really low, because 3D printers, the price is always coming down on those. They can be £150, £200 for a cheap one, and they can go up. But actually, a lot of people know how to use these 3D printers. So imagine if you could just take a photograph, bring it into some software, and then just 3D print it at home. So we've been doing tests over the past couple of years. We've been developing the AI technology to be able to do this, and we've got that all nailed down. We've been working with some of the wonderful local blind charities that are close to us, Warwickshire Vision, for example, and the Coventry Centre. And we've been kind of going backwards and forwards to understand if we're on the right path, if this makes sense. But actually then we thought, do you know what? There's something bigger than this. I mean, that's huge anyway, right? Bringing in a photograph and being able to touch it. Actually, everybody who's vision impaired should be able to really, I'm going to say, see the world in the way that those with sight can. Whether you are going to an English heritage site, whether you are going into a museum, whether you're on the outside of a building and you want to know what the building is you're going into is, especially if it's a cathedral or a stunning piece of architecture. And we thought, well, actually, this can be produced by museums, for example. And we thought, well, yes, this has been done before for museums, but this can take, months and months of hand carving for somebody to do that, then hand painting. We thought, well, we can reduce this time by using that exact same technology that we've been speaking about, which is, bring in an old piece of artwork into the software, and it instantly turns it into a 3D model that can be CNC'd, because it's more likely to be CNC'd than 3D printed because of the scale, but it can be 3D printed.
CNC being?
Sorry, CNC is the machines that cut away material. So it's a spinning tool on a machine that controls the direction, and it cuts away material to make most of the things we use on a day-to-day basis. And that technology is actually quite affordable now, meaning rather than museums having tactile art exhibitions which take months to be able to do, they can produce a piece of artwork a day. It's that quick for them to be able to do. And we thought, well, actually, wouldn't it be very beneficial if there was a section in a museum just dedicated to tactile artwork? So we decided that we're putting on an art exhibition in London on September the 15th, which is at the Oxo Gallery. And we've got 19 large pieces of artwork that we're going to be showing. And then in the room next to it, we've got the side where we're going to show people how they can make their own. Bring photos, 3D print photos so they can see how it all works. So it's quite an exciting project that we've been working on, and the feedback we've had from it so far has been absolutely incredible. But really, we're trying to make this so that everybody can do it. We want it consumerized so that everybody in the world can actually feel the photos, touch the artwork. So,
feel the photos. I like that. There's a tagline for you.
Yeah.
Now, at the scanning stage, is this purely software, or is there some special device you need to scan the photos in the first place?
No, so we've actually found that you can just do it off your phone. Just taking the photograph off your phone. Now, probably if you're working with a larger piece of artwork, let's say museums, they will probably go down a larger scanner to not damage the artwork. But for yourself, you can either scan it in on a digital scanner, or you can take a photograph of it and bring it in, or you can use any of the photographs off your phone. Phones these days, the quality of the photos is absolutely incredible. But when we bring it into our software, that's where all the magic happens, and that's what turns the artwork into the 3D model, which then you can export.
And how accurate is it? I'm thinking of, I've got, let's say, pictures of my kids when they were, babies or toddlers, and I'd love to be able to I can picture them in my head. I'd love to be able to do this process on those sort of photos. But how does it work? It sounds like magic. How does it know what sort of elevation to use on different parts and things like that?
So, as standard, it will... this is where the advantage comes into the technique that previously happened. The previous technique is it would turn a photo into black and white grayscale, and it would raise the black and keep the white low, or vice versa, and that's how it would work. But now it doesn't work like that. It works by AI analysing the photos, understanding the photos from everything it's seen previously, and then taking the shapes and the height and saying, well, that's a nose, that's an eye. But it actually takes your photograph, so it doesn't modify it in any way. When we started developing this, we were very, very clear that it had to be your photograph, not a modified version or an AI version where it's tweaked it many times. Because in things like ChatGPT, if you put one photo in and say, clean it up, it looks different. Then you say, clean it up again. Then all of a sudden you've got a different person.
Yeah.
We don't do any of that because that's not what we're trying to achieve. We're trying to achieve the exact results. So your children, you would be able to bring in a photograph of that, and it would just bring the heights up of everybody. Now, you still have the control to scale it and to smooth it if you want, to make the height what you want it to be. So it's ready to be printed and machined, but they're just slider bars that do that, and then you can push it off on your 3D printer, for example. But that's the stories we want. We want people to be able to do exactly what you've just said, those memories. And we are inviting people to actually send some of the artwork to us in advance, and if they're happy, we will display it at the exhibition, because we're going to have a section for people's artwork to prove that this can be done from their photographs.
Wow.
As well.
What fascinates me about what you're doing here is because you start off by saying you're most known for Haribo sweets and that kind of 3D printing technologies and all of that, a very mainstream purpose.
Yeah.
And then you turn towards this purpose, which is much more specialist, you might argue.
Yeah.
That's an interesting journey, because it's often the other way around.
Yeah.
What led you to do that?
I mean, as a company, we are a relatively small company that we work with. My background is I'm a designer. I studied product design, automotive design. So part of me has always been a designer. On a personal note, I actually grew up, my sister is disabled, spina bifida and hydrocephalus. My parents ran a charity for disabled, and I sort of grew up in all of that. I'm now a carer for my sister. So I've always been interested in making the world a better place if possible. And fortunately, I'm in the position now with a technology company and with the developments in AI to actually be able to think about how our business is and work with the large companies, but to be able to produce something like this for, as you say, niche areas or specialisms. And when we sat in a room and started to discuss how it could be used for these large companies, and all of a sudden the light bulb came on, and we were like, yes, we need to run with this. So we've spent a lot of time thinking, yes, how do we make this so that it can actually change people's lives? which for us as a company, there's a few of us within the company with family members that have disabilities. And for us, this is actually a wonderful thing to be able to change the lives for people. And I don't think we're going to stop here with it, because we want this to be really mainstream. We want everybody in the world to be, who's got vision impairment, to actually be able to produce the images and have the memories for themselves. We want them to be able to go into art galleries. We want them to be able to go to a football match and have the stadium and stadium seats. We want to kind of improve the lives for those with any sort of impairment. And, you know, that's probably more of a, you know, not a large company sort of mentality, but as the small company that we are, this is genuinely about us trying to change the world for people with any sort of impairment. And I don't think we're going to stop there with it at all. I think we'll probably sit in the boardroom and find some other ideas going forwards. So,
well, the examples you gave there, you know, of sport events and museums and things like that. I mean, there's the commercial aspect, right? You need a revenue, obviously.
Yes.
There's the commercial aspect. But when you're talking about changing people's lives, you know, the ability for us as blind people to experience photos again, and as I said, even if it's, you know, our own personal photos that we remember if we did have sight before, that's massive.
Yeah.
So how would you actually, what's your plan on making that happen? Are you making this software available? Is that, you know, like an iPhone app and or what?
So we're not at any app stage just as yet. It's built into our main technology at the moment. So there is a on computer technology. We've actually been working with an incredibly talented blind person who codes and is absolutely incredible. So he's been giving us a lot of feedback. So the aim eventually will be that we will keep streamlining and simplifying it so that it may be in the future, it could be a web-based type technology, it could be a phone-based technology. At the moment it's just within our software because that's where we have the skill and we're fully controlled. But in the future we'd like it to be even more accessible for people.
So I just email you all my pictures and you'll just send them back. And is that how it works?
No.
I've got to go to my photo reel right now.
Yeah, I would love to have a team big enough that we could have a bureau that would do that. So what we're hoping is that either people will take our technology on at home themselves, whether it's them, whether it's a family member or a friend that's okay with 3D printers, or whether it's a bureau that launches or start up. We're kind of looking for any of these that may be able to do that. Somebody made me aware that there's actually a bureau ran by visually impaired people that do actual 3D printing. So I haven't managed to lock down who this is, but I'm kind of looking out for them to see if this is something they're interested in taking up. But ideally, we want people to be able to do this themselves.
Well, I wish you all the best. Remind us again about the event that's coming up in September in London.
Yep, so it's called Touch Beyond Vision. There is a website for it. It's on the 15th of September in the South Bank Oxo Gallery from 10 till 4. And in that, we'll have 19 pieces of artwork in there for people to see, and the showing how to make it. But we would love people to go onto our website, look at it, see what we're going to do, register and come down to it. We want as many people there to see the artwork. We've got some great, we've called it Best of British. So we've got some landmarks, we've got some British artwork, and we've actually got some sports personality images in there as well. So there's going to be a real mix. And the tests we've done so far, people are spending like 20 minutes just admiring, feeling, touching the artwork, and they've been like, yes, this is absolutely wonderful to be able to do. So we really welcome people down.
It's amazing.
We could make you there, Stephen. That'd be great.
Yeah, no,
be able to touchable Stephen Scott.
I've touched my face, and trust me, no one needs to touch that. I guarantee you that. Robert, thanks so much for coming over. Appreciate it.
Thank you, both.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Well, Shaun, it's been a fun time at Sight Village. You enjoyed yourself?
I have, Stephen. Yeah, I've got to say, I always enjoy these events. It's great. Not just the tech and the hardware, but also meeting everyone.
Yeah, amazing listeners we've met as well.
Yeah.
Loads of listeners that have been
Thank
coming
you
up saying
so
hello.
much.
Thank you for that. Absolutely. Well, listen, safe travels, Shaun.
You know me. I'll get lost, but yes, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
You too.
All going well. We'll catch you back in the studio next time. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Take care.
Bye-bye.